to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Tonight we're going to discuss the Kenoza Triangle. Before we get into that small couple things to go over, want to first thank Bill, my tech guy who's here, helped me set this place up tonight. Thanks, Bill. And in the back, Patty just started working with Essex County this year. Patty Anastasia, she's an animal communicator. Thanks, Patty, for coming tonight. And just a couple quick things. Saturday night, we're going to be at the Sandown train station doing a ghost talk over there and a walk and a ghost investigation at the historic haunted Sandown train station in the Sandown Triangle, which is a relatively new triangle. And the Sandown Meeting House, is it the following weekend, Bill? Yeah, the following weekend. Having 62 events planned since August 1st of this year to October 31st of this year. Sometimes I mix up the dates. The end of the month, we'll be back at Haunted Hilldale Cemetery for one last time this year, not permanently. So I just wanted to let everybody know where we're at. Methuen Senior Center, for anybody who lives in Methuen, next Tuesday morning, I'll be there. And we're going to be at Smolac Farms next Tuesday night for the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. You have to sign up through the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, but we are doing haunted Smolac Farms. Mike Smolac and Smolac Farms, they're clients of mine. I've been investigating that place for years. We're the only paranormal team he will allow on the property, too, for some reason. He tells everybody that. But that's some of the stuff we got coming up. New this year, we just had our 30th episode. You can check that on Lawrence Community Access TV's YouTube page, because I'm also the board president and interim executive director of Lawrence Community Access TV right now. I got a show called The Paranormal Zone with my buddy Bob McDermott from Chester. We drop the show probably about 7, 8 o'clock every Thursday night. In November and December, it'll be Monday nights, every Monday night. We already have 30 episodes. Patty's been on. I've had, if you like Jack the Ripper, I had a guy who just published 2 books in England on Jack the Ripper. I got a team from Scotland coming on this week. And then on HC Media every Wednesday night, you can catch the Essex County Ghost Project show. And the last Monday of the month, live on my Facebook page, you can catch the Paranormal News Hour out of Lawrence. So it's quite a busy time. All right, so what am I talking about tonight? Besides, I'm going to talk maybe a little bit about Haunted Haverhill in general, but we're going to focus on the Kenoza Triangle. Ooh, interesting, isn't it? Or as my good friend of mine who just passed away this year called them, a flap area, okay? Because it's an area of a lot of activity. As you can see over here, I have them marked with thumbtacks. Some stuff we've investigated, okay, not everything. Some stuff has been told to me at talks by Haverhill residents of stuff that they saw as a kid growing up, people I trust, not telling just ghost stories around the campfire, or some Bigfoot, UFO and Bigfoot stuff. So it's located in Haverhill, Mass, Route 108 to north, to the Merrimack River, south on 125, west of Merrimack, Mass, to the east. So basically, if you went up to Monument Square, where the big Civil War monument is for the people out of Haverhill, and went like this, that's the area I'm talking about, from the river up. Big area. And how did this come about? Well, 3 years ago, when the library first asked me to do a talk on Haunted Haverhill, I said, well, okay, but I do private home investigations too, and I do not I don't put my private homes on the front page of Facebook like some of the paranormal teams are doing today, because I think that just lines you up for trouble, because then you got everybody knocking at your front door. So I said, what am I going to do? Okay, I'll do it. Easy enough to do. So I went through my files, and I've had Essex County since 2007, and looked at my Haverhill, and then got a map of Haverhill and just started pinning it. in the area of. There's no exact addresses on that map. I know some people are up here looking at it real going, is my house there? I'm betting they're saying. I may have pinned it in the wrong area, but it's on the street, and that's all I was looking at. There's no addresses there. So that's how this all, and I went, wow. So this area and another area, Havel, if I have time, I'll talk about both of them. That was the surprise for tonight. Is a flap area. There's just too much activity going on. It's like the Bridgewater Triangle, the Pacific Ring of Fire, the Ossipee Triangle that goes from Salem to Jefferson, New Hampshire, and back down to Rochester, back to Salem. It's outrageously ridiculous. But I said, there's a lot of things going on in this area. A lot. And there's stuff that's probably going on that I don't know about. And hopefully tonight I find more out. So the stuff we can talk about are cemeteries, public places. I must warn you, though, without permission, you're dawn to dusk, unless you're in Maine. 15 minutes before dawn, 15 minutes before dusk. But most cemeteries in Essex County are dawn to dusk. Except for Salem, you need permits to get in this time of year. That's Salem, Mass., not New Hampshire up the road. So the first one we'll talk about is the Children of Israel, 1893. And then we're going to talk about Haunted County Bridge Road, off of Middle Road, Suicide Pond, Millville Dam, some private homes off of East Broadway, Greenwood Cemetery, Walnut Cemetery, near Northern Essex, not Northern Essex, Winnikinny Park, Pentucket Graveyard, 1668 to 1850, and private homes all throughout the area. UFO sightings all over the place. The feeling of uneasiness as you drive a lot of the streets, especially off of East Broadway at night. And I don't mean about deer running across the road either, or a wild cat, since they're back in the Haverhill areas. We've seen pictures all over Facebook. It's kind of creepy out there sometimes. And that's not for me, that's people telling me. Me, the creepy thing in the cemetery are the humans walking at night, not the spirits. County Bridge Road. So, anyone know what County Bridge Road is? Oh, you do. Okay. County Bridge Road, let me just make sure I got the right one here. It is. It's over here. It's a bridge. You don't see this bridge anymore. It's gone. Anyone know what a Jewish cemetery is? Okay, right on the side of the Jewish cemetery is County Bridge Road. It is no longer a road. You can walk out there, though. It's right next to, oh God, I just forgot the gentleman's name.
Kevin Como.
Kevin Como, thank you. Kevin Como's house, who's a funeral director in the city. So you walk down there. Oh, so you've walked County Bridge Road?
Yeah, a couple times.
Couple times. Okay. It's now a cement foundation over the brook, okay? And then you go out back. So during COVID, when the rest of the world was shutting down, if you know me, shutting down me is nearly impossible. So I kept Essex County going because I define what's an emergency. I did cases during COVID. Young girl get thrown down a flight of stairs. That's an emergency to a family. Maybe the governor doesn't think so, but I do. So I went out and helped out people. Yeah, we wore masks, we wore gloves, we did all the protection. And no, knock on wood, no shot, no nothing, never got COVID. No shots, no nothing. Never got it. So one day we're down there doing a Tom Live show on Facebook, and all the phones shut down. My team member's phone, we all had full batteries going in, all shut down. We felt there was like a spider web's nest coming down over our heads. It was quite interesting on that road. And then if you go down the road splits. There's another road called Groveland Bridge Road. So you're out in the woods. It goes this way, like behind Whittier Votech and the football field. But before the bend, there's a road that goes out called Groveland Road is a dead end on 110. You can actually see Groveland Road and drive down it to the dead end, but it comes out on County Bridge Road, okay? So we're over there, but once you take the bend and go that way, there's like a piece of land that jets out into Millbrook. There's an old fire thing down there, like we burn cooking, like there was a log cabin or something. I went down there, the pendulum would not stop swinging at all. Neither would the dowsing rods, at all. So that's an interesting location. All right? So now, we talk about paranormal investigators and writers, right? My type of talk is I ask a lot of questions. I don't like PowerPoint. I don't know why they did that. But who do you think the foremost early writer of American folklore and maybe paranormal, would be? Any guesses? Real quick.
Washington Irving.
He's early, but locally. I just heard it. Who said it? John Greenleaf Whittier, yeah. He wrote about the two-headed snake, Haunted County Bridge, which I showed you up here. The Gloucester Lights, which I've seen, not part of Haunted Havel, but in Gloucester Harbor. There's an old ship that haunts the harbor itself. My friend lived right in the harbor, had a beautiful home overlooking the ocean, and I've actually seen those lights of a sunken ship. And of course, he wrote about the Ossipee Triangle because where's Mount Whittier? Where's the Whittier train station? In Ossipee, New Hampshire. Whittier spent a lot of his days in Ossipee, New Hampshire. And there's a lot up there on Whittier. Greenwood Cemetery. You know where that is? That's off East Broadway. That's where my friend, it's 1785, it's still going today. That's where my friend the Countess is buried. Or the lady in white is seen walking across Broadway. So that's another interest. And of course, it was written by who? John Greenleaf Whittier. There's also Native American spirits on that land in the cemetery, especially out back to the left and then out back to the right. We did do a Tom Live in there too, years ago. In fact, I'm going to read a verse from the Countess. Okay, not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long. I know not, time and space so intervene, whether still waiting with trust and serene, thou bearest upon 80 years and 10, our called at last, art now heaven's citizen, but here or there a pleasant thought of thee, like an old friend all day has been with me, the shy, the still boy, for whom thy kindly hand smooth this hand, pathway through the wonderland of thought and fancy. In gray manhood yet keeps the green memory of the early debt. Today the truth of falsehood speak their words, though hot-lipped cannon and teeth swords. Listen to the quickened heart of the ear intent and the sharpness. Keeps memory early in debt. Today, with the truth and falsehood speak their words through hot-lipped cannon, teeth of swords, listening to the quick heart, ear intent, to earth-sharp claws, the stern argument. I still can hear, at times, the softer note of the old pastoral music round me float. So, that's just part of that poem. And then if you go down, who's been to Walnut Grove Cemetery? Anybody? That's 1748 to present. This bottom picture over here, you can look at this at the end and I'll go over the pictures again. Years ago, Essex County started in 07. 08, I had my friend from the UK psychic Gavin Cromwell come up, and we did a 4-tour cemetery tour to raise money for Hilldale Cemetery, which I am the board president of. We did Walnut, Pentucket, Hilldale, and one more. That was taken by somebody at Walnut Grove. It looks like a guy holding a gun. Not too far from the Lydia Airstone either. It was in that section of the cemetery. And when I went off to that cemetery and did a couple different Tom Lives there, we didn't get many EVPs on those. We got some questionable ones, and if they're so faint, you can't even really hear them. Even if I jack the volume up, you're not going to hear them. But we got a lot of pendulum activity in there, flashlight activity, asking questions to get the flashlight to flicker. So we had a lot of activity, especially out near Lydia Ayer's grave. And the other one, I forgot the name of the grave. I wrote it down in my notes, and I think I rewrote the notes and didn't put the notes back in. So down the hill from Lydia Ayer, there is a section of East Broadway mapped out on a gravestone. Check that out if you're ever in there. It shows where all the old homes, the Whittiers, and all the old Havel families lived in that area. Carved out on a gravestone. Check that out. Over there, we had some pendulum moving and some lights moving too.
Is that cemetery on this property?
No, Walnut is out near northern Essex, and I forgot the name of the streets. It's like this. It's in the middle of the Kenoza.
Middle Road and Center Street.
That's it. Kenoza, Middle Road, and Center Street. Thank you. All right. The next graveyard in there is the Pentucket graveyard. That's right down here, right near the river, overlooking the river right on Water Street. It was the site of the first and second meeting house. The paranormal activity in there is huge. And one year, I hadn't started Essex County yet. So New England Ghost Projects was in town. They were renting a local building out just for a talk. They had Gavin there and David Wells. Now, for you paranormal enthusiasts, I'm not talking about David Wells, the baseball player who pitched for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. David Wells was an English psychic who came down. And I had led a group of people into the Pentucket graveyard because I knew the history, and the guy had asked me to do it, so I did it. And I had a flip phone. I lost it that night. I couldn't find it. Okay? I went back the next day in the rain looking for it. Couldn't find it. Had to go get a new phone. Darn it. Didn't want to get rid of that flip phone either, because they're so much better than the phones of today. About a year and a half or so later, there's a movement through the Essex National Heritage to start cleaning up cemeteries. So that's when I started Hilldale, the old Bradford burial ground, and the other one, somebody taking over Pentucket. So they came, they were looking for information, they found me, they sought me out, and I gave them the information. Then they go, oh, by the way, we're cutting, we found a flip phone near a grave. What? Near a grave? So I went out to the grave and grabbed the flip phone. It was my flip phone. So Pentucket is right here. This is the Jewish cemetery. This is Pentucket. So we got something odd going on here of an anomaly. This was taken from the front with no lights there when you first walk in the gate from Water Street. Took the picture and got that. Now, most of these are not digital. Most of these here and here are done with a 35 millimeter film camera. So that's how old these are. That's me. My throat was burning in front of these stones. Again, I'm not a psychic. Okay? I could sometimes feel things, but mostly I don't. What I am is a channeler. That's when the spirit comes inside of me and I communicate the spirit out to the world. That's what happened here. Come to find out, when I researched these, and I forgot their names, they're not in my notes. I'm gonna have to go back and find the other notes, because I did this talk today at a rest home, and somebody asked me who the name of the family was here. Come to find out, these people here had throat distemper. So that would explain my mind. And I didn't know that night. I went back the next day looking for the phone. Actually, this was after that incident. I went back and took the names down and then researched the names. And that's how I found out about the throat distemper. Okay. There have been female voices heard by people walking through there at night near the Dustin family grave. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Hannah's not buried there. Some historians know where she's buried, but will not say. I actually located the grave, but I'm not going to say, because all I'm going to say is it's on private property, and I don't want somebody going there with a backhoe to try digging it up. Okay? Because you never know with the controversy of the statues and everything what could happen. There's going to be nothing left from 300 years ago anyhow, but, you just don't want that happening. And then, of course, Judge Saltonstall's buried inside the Pentucket graveyard. We all know who he is, right? Or was? From the Salem Witchester area. Near that stone, we had a lot of pendulum movement. And some odd lights. And again, there's a poem written about Pentucket, and I'm only going to read a little bit of this one. And it's written by who? Whittier. Our vales are sweet with fern and rose. Our bills are maple crowned. But not from them our fathers chose the village burying ground. With scanty grace of nature's hand, and none of art, a winding wall of mossy stone, frost flung and broken lines, a lonesome acre thinly grown with grass and wandering vines. Without the wall, a birch tree shows its drooped and tasseled head. Within a stag horn, sumac grows, fern-leafed with spikes of red. There, sheep that graze the neighborly plain. Like white ghosts come and go, the farm horse drags his fretlock chain. The cowbell twinkles slow, low means river from its bed. To the distant pines reply, like mourners shrieking from their head, from the dead. They stand apart and sigh, unshaded smites of summer sun, unchecked the winter's blast. The schoolgirl learns the place to shun, with glances backwards cast. Very interesting. Now, we are going to go back to the County Bridge Road. Perfect. So the Haunted County Bridge and the County Bridge Road, it's a walking path. The pendulum activity, feeling of being watched, hits near the old cabin area. Oh, I forgot about this one. So I'm walking out, and we had gone down that road many a times, right? And I said, wait a minute, I was walking ahead of the group going, this is interesting. It was a Sunday afternoon. So I get around the corner. I'm heading closer to what they call Chinaman's Road, that area. Now, out there, I guess there's a trail that goes out towards 495. Okay? I saw a guy with a dungaree jacket on and dungarees, walking. He walked towards me on the trail and then gouted out this trail. As soon as he started going up this trail, he disappeared. So I went up the trail and didn't see him at all. But how many people wear dungaree jackets today? Not many. So that was real interesting. What? And of course, there's Native American spirits that you pick up in that area. And here's a little excerpt from the County Bridge Ghost. Shad Parish still continues much the same. The unwearied ghost still watches County Bridge, or walks, clattering teeth and eyes aflame, from his old station up to Peter's Ridge. Nay, smile not, reader, but as truth receive it, Shad Parish woman to man believe it. So that's the poem Whittier wrote about County Bridge Road. And then Havel County Bridge Road crosses over East Meadow near the Whittier home. Local legends has it the bridges were haunted by victims of a Native American massacre trapped beneath the water under the bridge after report of sighting of a headless ghost. The youthful John Greenleaf Whittier and some local boys dared each other to cross the bridge at night, calling the ghost. The terror that gripped the future poet with permanent the haunted County Bridge, that's where he got this from, and is immortalized in the County Bridge Ghost, but also mentioned in passing in a number of poems, other poems, also Amesbury Road in poem. So that really stuck out in John's head. The next one, located on Middle Road, near County Bridge Road, near Suicide Pond. It's called The Children of Israel, 1893 to present. Right here. So this one actually made the paper one year. Front page story in the Tribune. We call it the 9 o'clock ghost because it looks like it's a two-headed spirit right here. You can come up and look at that. We got some light anomalies or orbs. We got that odd light. This past summer I was going by there because I got a call to check something out. I pulled in and I saw this mysterious light in the sky. I didn't see this as clear as day as some of the other stuff I'm going to explain, but it was going like this, like this, like this, and then gone. And by the time I got the phone out of the car that was charging, it was long gone. Next to this place, though, right next door, there's another road that goes back there. And then right next to the road is Suicide Pond. There was also a Whittier poem. Suicide Pond, a girl committed suicide in there, and it's a very interesting place to go. We went up there to do a Tom Live show at Suicide Pond, and something was drawing us up the hill. The path that goes up the hill from the pond. Now, the pond is located on Middle Road, like I said, almost across, actually it is, across the street from the Turkey Farm's driveway. It looks like something of a drain pond now for the water, but it runs the brook right there. There is something up in those woods. We haven't seen it yet. I've been up there at night looking. I've been through the back area over there looking, but a couple former team members just refuse to go up there at night. We don't know what it is. I don't know if it's good, bad, or ugly, or pretty, but there's something up there. And eventually we'll find it. All right. So that's that one. Also in that area, Okay. 1960s. The story was told by somebody I trust deeply. Riverside, in the area we're talking about, down near the stadium. Okay? Mother and father went out to eat that night. Reputable people in the community. So the daughter and the kids stayed home. And back in the 60s, if you were the older sister, guess what you get to do? Go out with your friends or babysit. What was the job of the older sister to do? Babysit. Well, this thing actually flew over their house. They saw it clear as day as a UFO. 8 people that have told me that same story all said almost the same thing. That was from that neighborhood. I will not repeat my sources. I do not do that. Just like if you guys give me information tonight, the information might be repeated. Maybe if it doesn't give you away, but I will never release my sources.
What neighborhood?
Riverside, Kroll Street.
Excuse me?
Kroll Street,
Nice.
that's basically across from Market Basket in that area. Okay? And it was not the helicopter, not the planes. Nope, not the plane. Yeah, no, that wasn't the plane crash, no. Within a day of that one, or 2 days, if memory serves me right, in Methuen, near where I live. Now, I'm about 8 minutes from Hilldale Cemetery, so you could tell maybe 10 minutes from here, 15 minutes max. So I'm right on the line. Washington Street, which you can see from 213. When you go by the loop, left is the loop, Washington Street's the other way. And the Methuen City History book written for the bicentennial in 1976, a couple came forward and said there was a UFO sighting right on Washington Street. And it's right around the same time as the UFO sightings here in Haverhill. So that makes it interesting.
I'm related to the Exeter people.
Oh, you're related to...
No, I'm just saying.
Oh.
Related to the Exeter couple that,
No, totally different. I thought you said you were related to them.
no.
Okay. Now, recently, about 3 years ago, Christmas, I'm finishing up at work. My mother asked me to go to the bank and get her some money, so I went to the ATM down at Market Basket, Westgate Plaza. Now, you know how tall the light poles are there, right? 10 or 15, maybe 20 feet above them. This thing came over from like this side of Haverhill, so like East Broadway, that way, over the neighborhood, over the Market Basket parking lot, over my car, and then went over the tree line behind the old Building 19 building and then went like this. If that had crashed, you would have heard it. I wouldn't be here today. Because if that was a plane crash, that only happened less than maybe 300 yards from me, 400 yards from me. With that type of fuel, that whole area is wiped out. I don't know what I saw that night, but it was interesting. December 2021. Yeah, that's when it was, December 21st, 2021. I actually wrote it down. And then in Haverhill, 2022, Halloween night, down at the stadium. Some people are down there. I'm running an event at the Sandown Meeting House. Or was it the train station that night? I'm running an event at Sandown train station with Mike Stevens, who's one of my ufology people from the seacoast of New Hampshire, and I get a phone call. I don't answer it because I'm running an event. I get another phone call. I don't answer it. Then all of a sudden, my texts are going up. Call immediately, call immediately. 5 different people saw a UFO fly right over the Building 19. I guess they were doing some type of Halloween, the city down there or something, or people might have parked down there to go into, that end of Riverside. But 5 people called my phone telling me they saw a UFO in broad daylight. Around 2018, in the column in the Haverhill Gazette, the column that they write every week, the lamp post. Someone posted in the lamp post, and I have the article somewhere, that they saw a UFO flying over Lafayette Square. What? 2018. We're not talking 60s or 70s. We're talking 2018.
So they're getting more active.
They are getting more active. All right. Where do we go from here? We still got a little time. Haunted. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is West Parish Burial Ground. This is the second West Parish. There are 3 West Parish burial grounds. Carlton Street, the one on the hill across from the animal hospital on Route 97 in the church. I forgot, Havahart is it? I think it's called? Okay. The second one, you can see in the wintertime. If you left Dunkin' Donuts on 97 and went straight in the woods. That's the second. We were doing an energy circle in there. And that's where the dog face came from. Nobody was smoking. So an energy circle is we all hold hands. And we focus on our third eye and we call out the spirit energy. That's where that came from. And then, so those are Pentucket Jewish, we got that. And then over here, we have my home away from home. You might find me sleeping in there at night. Hilldale Cemetery. Extremely active. So we got some odd stuff going on here, mist here. This is a head coming out of the ground. Someone took that picture and gave it to me. But that's a head coming out of the ground. This is one of those energy circles I was talking about that we did that got that. That was supposed to be the original, that's what I wanted to be the Essex County logo, but I couldn't find anybody that could actually do that. So, never happened. Some Lego oaks here, and here, this was taken at the Pauper Cemetery right next door. Picture of a baby. Right next door to Hilldale Cemetery. Literally, the horseshoe one.
My cousin's buried there. You know my cousin, Cindy Rice, Hutchison.
Oh, I know Cindy.
She's a very big advocate.
She is. Yeah, she helps us out down there a lot. She's very
She
good.
wants to song.
Yeah, I know the whole story, but she's always down there. Yes, great person. So that's West Parish. So also at Hilldale, besides those, we've had many unexplained pictures that never get sent back to me. People showing me on my ghost hunts, I never get them back. But we've captured some good pictures of there, as you've seen. Mystical creatures. One night, it's about 2 years ago, I was in there almost every night because we're having problems down there. Problems have subsided a little bit. And I see this thing, beady red eyes looking at me. Cool little creature. Pointy ears, beady red eyes. Tried to take a picture of it, got nothing, because I'm looking at the thing. What the heck is this? So I made some phone calls. Some say they were elementals, some of the people. And some say they might have been a Pudgewalkie, which is the devil's disciples. Very famous down in the Bridgewater Triangle. You read about Pudgewalkies. We're not sure what they were. And then we got the head coming out of the ground, like I said before. So we have all of those going on at once. All right. What else is going on in Haunted Haverhill? Winnekinny Castle. That's in the triangle. I didn't really get into Winnekinny. I forgot. Sorry about that. That's my mistake. Winnekinny Castle is in the Kenoza Triangle. There's a picture of the castle. There's a picture of Millville Dam, by the way. Oh, so Winnikinny first. We did a Gazette Santa Claus fundraiser, and I had Cece the Huntress here. Now she goes by Chloe Kardashian, Queen of the Paranormal, I believe she goes by now. She's well known in Australia. She's from the Merrimack Valley, though. She's got her own shows and stuff. We're doing so up top here, there's a walkway. While we were doing a table tipping in there, shadow figure was caught by a bunch of people walking the walkway inside the castle. Native American spirits have been heard, voices have been heard at Winnikinny. I almost forgot these. You might call them maybe sunspots in the clouds. These were taken off of Guile Street by somebody I know. To me, they're UFOs. I will not use the word UBAs or whatever the government's calling them now. Yeah, that's it, thank you. I'm going to always use the word UFO. But these pictures were sent to me by somebody off of Guile Street. And that was 2 years ago, because I just got that photograph 2 years ago. As I was walking in here, one of my team members goes, "This is from a good friend of mine's house. Can we use it tonight?" Just taken like 2 nights before. I said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." I had my briefcase, put some scissors in. I moved some stuff around and we used it. So that's what that picture is here. And then over here, you can see the triangle on this map. And these here, I know people were looking again to see if their house is there. No, this is just in the general direction of the streets that I have addresses for. So we have the white, which is ghost, the red, which is UFO, and the green, which is Bigfoot. Now the Bigfoot sightings, I'm going to be honest with you. I've always been honest about that stuff. Most of those sightings were from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, when this section of Havel was wilderness. Most of that side of Havel and most of Havel has been built up. If you grew up in this city and lived in that era, you know this city has grown 1,000 times since then. The last Bigfoot sighting I knew about was 1978. And I was up at Mount Washington. There was an apple orchard at the school up there. And I found the police report. I had the guy on my paranormal podcast, the one I used to do at HC Media before they shut podcasting down. Okay? And the guy was tied to a lot of local political people, grew up with them, so he didn't want his real name used. I double-checked the story with police reports. I talked to the officer he told me to talk to. And I said, okay, let's run with the show. We'll do the show. So we did the show about Bigfoot and Havel in the 70s, in the apple orchard. That's the last one I know about that was sighted here. The late 70s and early 80s throughout the Merrimack Valley, I know this was supposed to be haunted Havel, but we'll extend it a little bit. Newburyport, Methuen, Haverhill, Merrimack, and Amesbury had a lot of sightings in the late 70s and early 80s. And where the sightings were in the wooded areas, the heavy wooded areas. Up in 97 in Methuen, West Methuen on the Salem line, 110, off of 110 in Merrimack, but off to the left, where it's still pretty wooded, but it was much wooded back then. And same with Amesbury, that would have been on the Southampton line. And if I went into Southampton's history, because that's on the Southampton line, I imagine there's some sightings in the Southampton area at the same time. So that's Winnikinny that I totally forgot about. And then a couple other ones we'll go through, and then we're going to wrap it up. My alma mater, Bradford College. Public building, so I will talk about that. What?
I worked there in the library.
At the end? Maybe that's why when you walked in, I recognized you from somewhere.
It's like 15, 20 years now.
Well, the school closed in 2000.
Right, but I was in the library working with that.
That's why I recognize. When you walked in, I go, I know you from somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where.
Libraries. I worked here too.
Oh, okay.
15 years in the school.
All right, so real quick about Bradford College. So you have 3 buildings. So you got the big front building, which is Academy, okay? Then you got, see if I'm doing this right, Hazeltine Hall and Denworth Hall. Underneath the ground, the tunnels connecting so the ladies wouldn't get wet. When I went off to college, I was the slowest typist in the world, okay? And we didn't have the best of computers at the house, so I did all my papers till 2 in the morning in the computer lab. Many a people told stories. You could actually hear things going on in the tunnels. People walking, laughing, joking. Go check it. There's nobody there. Upstairs in Academy Hall, there used to be a telescope. They had astrology up there. I got to see where the telescope was. One of the maintenance guys let me in after they decided the school was going to close, because once they decided that, who really... what's the guy going to lose his job? You think, he didn't care. So he let me up there. Girl had hung herself up there. Her spirit seen walking the stairs up to the and back down where they would do the step singing in Academy Hall. One night, I stayed with some friends. Stayed there a lot, but this one particular night, I stayed in the co-ed dorm area, okay? With some friends of mine. And I had to get up and use the restroom. So I get up, it's thunder and lightning out, the lights go off. Who cares? I walk that hall all the time. I know where I'm going. This lady comes walking out of nowhere. I didn't see where she came from, but she's holding a lantern in 1850s, 60s Victorian era clothing. Interesting. But that wasn't strange for Bradford, trust me. You work there, you know what I'm talking about. Right, but even not just clothes, what students wore at Bradford. To see a girl dressed in a Victorian garb would not surprise you at all, okay? At all. So we're walking. I didn't say much because I'm half asleep. We get to the restroom. It's a co-ed bathroom, so I walk in. I figured she's going to go to, no big deal, because everything's shut doors and everything in those, right? Nope. She didn't come in. She just disappeared. I'm like, that's interesting. So that happened there. Some of my friends have seen shadow figures walking over Tupelo Pond. I never got to see that. This is reported by friends of mine that I trust that were, they weren't coming from a college party, let's put it that way, when they saw these things. What? Yeah, the ducks were nice. And the little church that's on the property also has a resident figure living in there. So that's just some of the stuff that happened at Bradford College. And then another building owned by Bradford College was Kimball Tavern. Everybody know where that is? Right across from the Bradford Common in the Bradford Common Historic District. Some say the tavern light was on. So the night that the Indianapolis Colts won the Super Bowl, many, many moons ago. Let me see if I got a date on this thing. I may or may not. Yeah, I do, 07. February 07. I went out with a friend of mine who had her own team. They wanted to take pictures of Kimball Tavern. She was good with a camera, but I've been using cameras a while. So I said, I'll go with you. So I watched the first half of the football game. At halftime, I met her up at Kimball Tavern. We took a picture and saw a weird light in the thing. They said the light was simply an alarm. Fast forward, years later, Essex County went in there and actually investigated the tavern. We got footsteps in there. No real video evidence, but the psychics that I had with me at the time were picking up a lot of stuff in there. So that's another haunted location in Haverhill. Have I picked anything up on Bradford Common? No, I haven't. But I never really looked either, to be honest with you. Someone asked me that question recently. I said, no, I don't think so. So, oh, I always forget about this house. Last one we're going to talk about. Everybody know where Boston Road is, right? I found this purely by accident in a book called, and this is the only book I've seen it in, okay? The book's called True Tales in Ghost Hunting. The Witch's Guide to the Supernatural, and then underneath it's subtitled True Tales, okay? Moses Day Homestead. They even put the address in the book. 1226 South Main Street. The building's still standing today. Right on the North Andover line. Big white house. Can't miss it. Who was Moses Day? 17th century colonial home. So the guy that wrote it, he shared the house with Al, his significant other, or the lady that wrote it, the mother, and Uncle Richard, who had Parkinson's disease. So it's a colonial era house that would actually, they'd see this guy walking around in colonial garb. Moses Day was the minister of the white church in Bradford. I find that real interesting. So yeah, if you ever drive by that house, check that house out. But yeah, I could not believe it that I found that in some obscure book like that. I remember where I got the book from too. Building 19. Because I collect paranormal books. I have boxes and boxes and boxes because of all the research I do. This is just one part of it. This is just one binder. I have 9 binders full of research and boxes full of other paperwork. I haven't gotten a file away yet. Because when you're doing the paranormal, it is nothing but research. Yeah, you may call me to your house. Essex County will show up. We don't charge. We have a 24-hour turnaround period. Somebody will be there. Maybe not a full team, but somebody to check out the incident and, lay a plan, put a plan into works to help you people, help out the people. What's going on in the neighborhood is the bigger question. Is your house the only house haunted in your neighborhood? Most of the time it isn't, as you can see here. And the other thing I didn't really get into, I did talk about Haunted Hilldale, but everybody know what's behind Hilldale Cemetery, right? What? Train tracks. Yeah, you know where they go? They're the Boston to Maine. Oh, wait a minute. Those go up through Plastow. Along those train tracks in Plastow alone, I had 7 homes. You live in Plastow. 7 homes along the train tracks throughout Plastow, or in the area of the train tracks. Keep going up, Sandown, the Sandown Triangle, which you'll hear more about if you come to the train station. That whole area. 4 homes I've investigated in that area. The train station, which will be open to the public for you to visit, and the meeting house, which will be open to the public. And there have been UFO sightings over Zavino Vineyards, however you pronounce that. So it's all around us. It's wherever we go. All right, then. Any other questions? I think I bored you guys enough. Did I bore anybody first? No? Yes, ma'am.
Do you think we have more activity because this was the earliest settled part of the country?
That's a darn good question, because I've interviewed paranormal investigators on my radio show, and I've talked to them online. I'm on all these different Facebook paranormal sites. If they look good, they look legit, I'm on the page. It could be. But the Midwest and Texas has a lot too. Newer ghosts, But yes, New England is the oldest part of the country. And now, this is for another talk, but I'm going to throw this in to help answer this question. We know about America's Stonehenge, 4,000 years old, right? Ever been to Danville? You like Danville?
No, we just drove through.
We drove
once.
through, we saw like a bunch of old buildings.
Okay. Right near the Danville DPW is a 1,400-year-old stone structure called the Danville Beehive. Who built it? Now, you think that's the only one in Danville? No, it isn't. It's the only one open to the public. But since I've been active out there doing a lot of paranormal investigation work out there in the Danville, because of all these, the talks I'm doing, I'm finding more beehives in people's backyards. They just don't want investigators running around to people because they want their privacy, obviously. So, and Danville was once part of where?
Sandown?
Sandown, and where else?
Hampstead?
Where else? Haverhill.
Well, yeah,
When Haverhill was settled in 1640, there was nothing out there was the Wild West, the wild frontier. So we don't know how long people have been living here for. Now, do we? Stonehenge is 4,000 years old. We got 1,400-year-old beehives. Danville, Bill and I went out there. There's magnetic, what was it in the soil?
Magnetite.
Magnetite in the soils. So what is out there? The Vikings have settled New England. That's pretty historical fact. Natives were here. What else was here? And how far does our history go? Any other questions? You know what I forgot to ask? You don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to. Has anybody ever lived in a haunted house? Oh, we had a few tonight. Okay. I usually it's at the beginning, not at the end. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight.